Hey, welcome back to the Positive Side Podcast. The host Jeremy Ty, glad you're tuning in. I promised an episode today, and what better time to do an episode when I get so many things on my mind, and I had this victim mentality and this victim mindset that I love to be able to come up here and share it with you. This is the Positive Side Podcast. Believe that, but it's just so funny. It's hard sometimes to work your way through things when it's all in your head. Sometimes you just gotta like spit it all out. And I guarantee you throughout this podcast, it might be a little bit longer one because I got some awesome things I want to go over. But we're gonna get into what's going on in my life a little bit and the things I struggle with. And by doing that, we're gonna answer a lot of these questions that I posted on Facebook. If you haven't followed me, check it out, the Positive Side Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. And I put out there podcast tomorrow. What would you like me to talk about? Like, first of all, again, negative self-talk. Like I'm a professional. That's great. Believe me, I always have content in my life. So it's well, we're gonna combine them both today, which is I'm really excited about this episode because again, I'm hopefully it'll help you. It's gonna help me for sure though too. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Megan Langer. Megan, this is just a hardcore right off the bat too. This is so good. Finding your true self through all the self-help. Stay up late or get up early. Cash is king or leverage leads to longevity. Speak your mind or be kind. Find your voice in all this mess. Man, it's crazy. It's so well written too. And to be honest, I don't know if for me, I guess it boils down to just being the authentic self. And I like the questions because being authentic that's what at the end of the day, it's whatever the hell works best for you. Getting up early, staying up late. Sometimes I'll talk to myself and I got to get up early. I got to do this. But is that really, am I trying to act out something that's not truly me? Or am I trying to force this upon, like force myself to be a new quote unquote better person? I think what happens is when we don't believe in ourselves, we try and find ways to, I guess get better. And I guess I don't even know if that really makes sense. Let me see if I can explain it a different way. And again, this is what goes through my head. Am I the guy that's going to get up at the crack of dawn because I see other people doing it, rise and grind? And my buddy Glenn Lundy has a rise and grind at 5 a.m. That's not me. And I always wanted to force myself to be up there at 5 a.m., 5 a.m., 5 a.m. What am I missing? What am I missing? Well, what I found out was missing, it was almost like setting myself up for more failure and more self-sabotage because I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd get up a couple times and I'm like, man, I got to go back to sleep, hit the snooze button, or I'm just groggy and tired. And it just wasn't that important. I guess the first thing is I guess just find out what's most important to you. Is sleep more important or is getting up early more important? Is go to bed more important than staying up late? Whatever, there's nothing wrong with anything. And I think when we don't see that in our own lives, like we want to fix something and we want to change it instead of fixing our own mental positivity and momentum. There's the same amount of hours in every single day, right? Are you maximizing everything when you wake up until you go to bed? Do you make a checklist every single day? Are you procrastinating? I'm listening to Mel Robbins. It's a podcast where she coaches people, and they had someone on there that was talking about procrastinating and why they procrastinate. It literally was just self-sabotaging themselves. It's pick something you're going to do, and in the minute you feel like you're going to not do it, do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just get after it. It's crazy because I do it all the time. I procrastinate and then self-sabotage. I don't get things done, and then I'm mad at myself. But it's almost like subconsciously I need that in my life to feel terrible. And I heard this just like 4 or 5 days ago, and I've been thinking about it with my own relationships. That do I deserve? And this is where I'm kind of turning it into about me. Do I deserve happiness? Do I deserve success? Do I deserve the better life that's literally right in front of me and I keep blowing it? Why do I keep blowing these things? Why? I don't know the answer. Well, I kind of know the answer, but I guess am I willing to face the answer, or are you willing to face the answer of why you keep not doing the things you're supposed to be doing? Because within your question, there's all kinds of different things in there, right? Cash is king or leverage leads to longevity. Speak your mind or be kind. It's all that. It's like all this fog and this gray area to confuse us and allowing us to either not take action or we take the wrong action because we want to self-sabotage ourselves. It's the craziest thing in the world. And I'm right in the middle of it. But I think being in the middle of it and realizing being authentic with yourself is the right place to be. Because if you can't identify where you truly are, you're never going to get where you truly want to go. And it sucks, man. It sucks. Like I'm emotional. I shedding a tear this morning. Like it's bad. And when you're in the heat of the emotion, you say to yourself, why do you keep doing this to yourself? And then I picture myself a year from now or 2 years from now. What would have my life been different if I wouldn't have self-sabotage myself? Question number one. Question number two is if I don't self-sabotage myself and catch myself doing the things that I know aren't what I'm supposed to be doing, how great is that life going to be 1 to 2 years from now? Right? There's two really good ways to look at it. And you just got to make that decision for your life. I'm not that guy that just says I want to follow it. We know deep down internally what we should do, but we don't do it. We're the easiest people in the world to sell ourselves the reasons that we shouldn't do something. And it's hard. And that's like, I guess that's one thing, it's admitting that it's hard. It's not easy. But also being real with yourself and being truthful with yourself, calling yourself out. If you're lazy, quit being lazy. If you're overweight, quit being overweight. If you're unmotivated, quit being unmotivated. Like you have to have these like real talks, and until you realize that the words in your head are it's if this way you feel, but you have to switch what you're selling yourself over and over and over again. And I'm literally right in the middle of it, and it's hard, but I learned a valuable lesson. I learned a very, very, very valuable lesson about my life and self-sabotage. And then I'm looking at myself to reevaluate what areas. Great question to ask yourself too. What other areas in your life is this showing up? I love that because it's showing up in a lot of different areas of my life. If I'm real and true with myself, it is. Megan, I'm not sure if that answered your question, but thank you for responding on the Facebook page. Thank you for being a big fan. I'm a big fan of yours. Chris Osborne, grief and healing. One thing about Chris, I'm sure you're listening to this. I'll never forget when Chris commented on one of my things on my Facebook page. This is years ago, and he just flat out called me out. Like it was so funny. I don't remember what it is, but he called me out. And instead of like starting this huge argument with him, he was 100% right. And I said, bro, I never even looked at it like that. You're right. And I changed it. And then him and I, when I were like, never met each other, we're Facebook friends now. I comment on his stuff. I like his posts. He likes my posts. It's great. But grief and healing, man, again, I'm going through it right now. Grief and healing. For me, give you what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. I work. Sometimes it's best to get out of your misery and out of the shadow of what just happened and go back to the things that you know how to do without really thinking about it. Get back on the grind. I used to think, well, I just need to be alone. I just need to go for a walk and be in my own head. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work because that makes it worse. It really does. I mean, go to the gym, take that aggression, take that anger out on something. Listen to I listen to so many motivational podcasts and books and things like that. Listen to something that's just straight funny. Like watch a movie that is funny. And again, this isn't a long-term grief and healing. This is short-term to get you through the next day. And sometimes when you get through the first day and you just barely make it through, typically the next day is just a little bit easier. And then you rinse and repeat. Becomes a grief and healing. You never forget, right? I mean, that's impossible to forget. If it's a loved one that passed away, if it's a relationship, it's hard. But life is so effing hard. It's just brutal sometimes. But that's what I do. I go right back to work and I work harder, and then I try and just stay out of my own head. Because sometimes in my own head, I think I'm to myself, I'm a big thinker, and I overthink things, and I play things through my head. And I really, if it goes back to what Megan was, when I was talking with Megan, being intentional, and what can I learn from the situation? How do I get better? That's what I do, because when I'm working and doing monotonous things, sometimes I can actually play things out a little bit better, and time really does heal all wounds for sure. My man, Jerry Tusel, my Southwestern Consulting homeboy out west, he says failure. You know, that's another topic. When I read these over the last couple of days, I read Jerry's and said he put failure on there. I decided to go and get my real estate license. It's immediate self-doubt. Jeremy, you're not smart enough. You can never take the test. You're going to fail at it. Why are you doing this? Why are you setting yourself up? Failure is that thing that I have failed over and over and over and over and over and over again. But the beautiful thing about that is I give myself a chance to fail. I know it's going to suck. I know it's not the best, but I put myself on Front Street, because if we continue the theme of the negative self-talk, me telling myself that I can't do this, I can't pass a real estate license, it's too much time, I'm wasting my time, I'm not going to really do anything with it. All the negative self-talk that goes into it. Sometimes I just put myself on it and I just sign myself up, rip the Band-Aid off, you're in. This is what you're going to do. It's on. And man, it's scary, and I don't plan on failing, but I've gotten used. You have to, the failure muscle, right? I've failed in relationships more than I like to talk about. Jeez, Pete's Jeremy. I failed in business. I failed in meetings. I failed in things with my children. I failed so many times, but I'm really good at failing now, because I just don't care anymore. Because I know when I have failed, and taking those risks. And the more failures, the better, right? Fall for there's so many analogies when you talk about failure, but I'm good at it. I give myself the authority to fail and live in the sorrow if and when it happens, because it happens more often than it doesn't. But man, I can remember back in the day leaving California when I left, and back then it was my wife and my kids, and I remember pulling out of this driveway knowing that I was a failure. And I've never cried so hard in my entire life. It was the worst thing ever. Now, fast forward, I learned. I didn't learn really about relationships. I keep screwing them up. But I learned a lot about myself that I don't want to go back to. It was a failure. I don't know. It's a big failure, man. When you sob emotionally in your car to yourself and no one's around, if someone saw you, they would think you were like dying or something. But I was just that dude. Like, it brings a tear to my eye just thinking about how sad and such a dark place I've been in. I've thought about my depression that I've dealt with for so many years, and all the self-sabotage and the bad mistakes I've made. It's so easy to get caught up in that. But I'm so good at failing now. I mean, but at the same time, I'm successful, right? So with all the failures, I haven't really relied on a lot of people to put myself in the way of failing. I've just done it myself, and I've screwed things up, and I made big mistakes, but I just keep doing it. And if you continue to fail one time, and maybe 100 times, hell, I don't know, you will succeed eventually, and the failure will get easier. You just got to keep doing it. And I'm gonna butcher this cat's name. So we'll just, I appreciate responded, bro, but all respect. Let's just say last name is Gars, G-A-R-S. Man's search for meaning. Bro, I mean, do we have enough time on this podcast? I think about that all the time. And there's so many different contexts. What am I here for? What is the true meaning of my life? I'm 5'2". I'm not in the best shape. I talk a lot of shit. I try and help people out. I try and motivate people. Why am I here? It sounds so cliche. Let me go back. I'll never forget an email I got from the podcast. It's been probably 3 years ago. And I got an email from a listener, no names, and her brother committed suicide. And, when you get an email like that, and what they told me was, hey, my brother committed suicide. He loved your podcast. Your podcast gave him an additional 2 or 3 months longer than what anybody thought he would do. I mean, it just gives me the chills just thinking about that. Just sometimes you don't realize the impact that you have on people's lives and in your day-to-day lives, the conversations you have, the people you meet, the things you come across. Everything matters. The way you walk out your door, the way you wave to your neighbor, the way you don't like, I don't try and kill bugs. I am this, like, I try and be this most peaceful person because I don't know how that's going to affect anybody. So the meaning to my life is literally attempt to be the best version of myself, because the impact that I have on other people, I don't realize, and you don't realize, the things you say, the things you do, the role model that you are, that you don't even realize you are. Do you fight through things? Do you fight for relationships? Do you give up on relationships? Like, everything you do matters. And sometimes that's tough because I'm a very emotional guy. I cry in movies. I cry all the damn time because everything matters to me. The meaning to my life, it's, again, cliche, to leave the world a better place than what it was when you were here. I mean, yeah, okay. But I literally want to change people's lives based on my conversations, my reactions, how I handle things. And sometimes I don't handle things the best. And some things I say that I don't even realize that may hurt. I don't know. I don't understand that. I just want to make an impact. That's it. I want to make this world a better place than what it was before. Devin Lewis, my man, Devin. Now, I haven't talked to Devin in a while, another long time, big fan, and I'm a big fan of his. Man, I'm stuck right now. By no means do you have to take this as a podcast topic, but I'm really struggling with the separation of my baby's mother. Nobody talks about trying to move on, a whole co-parent with your kid's mother. But I'm big time stuck, Jeremy. Man, bro, I've been through it. My divorce was final in September, been separated for a long time. And I've had a relationship recently that just completely fell apart. And I guess this is part of the topic today, that I just it's self-sabotage. Devin, listen to that podcast, and if you email me later or text me when you hear this, I'll send it to you, with Mel Robbins, and then to get into the self-sabotage one. It may be even a little narcissistic that of some of the things that you and I both do. I would guess if you go back and look at the relationship, and what's really jacked up about a relationship, and again, self-sabotage. Usually when it's too late, it's already gone. And no matter what you do and no matter what you say, you can't get that relationship back. That's the realization sometimes when you get to that point, and then in your subconscious back of your mind, you say to yourself, I know I can do better. I know I can be this better person. I know I can try. And then you give these justifications about how you tried so hard. Remember the good times. And remember this. Remember that. The problem is that relationship's gone, and it's a hard lesson. But and then you learn from the lesson. Like, what could you take away in that relationship that you did wrong? Like, take her out of the picture completely. Take her out. You don't have to bring her up at all. Like zero. Like, own everything about the conversation. What are you going to learn going forward? If I go back to the conversation about where do you see yourself in 2 years? Are you in the exact same situation you are now, or do you learn from what you just went through 2 years from now in the next relationship? It's interesting because I learned so much about myself, literally saying things that in my subconscious mind, I did not believe. In my conscious mind, in the middle of the conversation, for whatever reason, I say, but it wasn't even the right things that I was saying. And again, I'm hoping you're following me with this vague conversation. But the hardest part is letting go, accepting that it's gone. It may not be, Devin, but I mean, deep down, you know. But the bigger thing is, since it is gone, how do you not repeat what you just went through? What mistakes did you make personally? Did you say? Because it's so easy. It's so easy that, our narcissistic attitude, oh, well, she did this and she could have done a better job of this and she could have been nicer there and she could have told me more and her. Or do we understand as in our own lives, taking control of it and saying, man, I didn't even see that. The next time that happens to me, I need to not repeat and rinse and do the exact same thing over and over and over and over again. It's brutal, bro. Brutal. I know it. Co-parent. I get to see my kids here in about 39 minutes. It's crazy. It's come down to that. You look back 10 years ago, 15 years ago for me. I mean, when it was really good, between 10 to 15 years ago. And now this is where I'm at. I'm living in a house that it's okay. It's okay. But I live in a house that flat out tells me that I don't believe in myself, that I've never learned any of my lessons in my life, and I have limiting beliefs of giving myself the opportunity to live the life that I want, to live the life that I deserve. I mean, I deserve a better life. Devin, you deserve a better life. And have you owned that? Have you owned the part of you deserving that better life? Truly owned it. And I was in my car crying 4 days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, questioning myself. I'm tearing them out, questioning myself. Do I deserve a happier life? Do I deserve the success that I've already had? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Failure, right? Like all these failures. What am I going to learn out of this situation? What am I going to take away? Devin, what are you going to take away? What's Jerry going to take away? What's Megan going to take away? It's crazy, man. It's insanity. It's crazy. But limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, negative self-talk. I'm here to tell you, I mean, let's end it on the positive side, right? Every single person listening to this podcast deserves it. You deserve, this is the meaning of life. You deserve happiness. You deserve to be happy in your life, no matter what you're doing. Like, it's part of human nature to be happy, yet we rob ourselves of these things. It's not easy, it's hard. But if we realize that we are good enough and I'm going to put my, what do you call it? The self, whatever, the sentences about myself. I'm going to put those back on my mirror. I erased them like a week ago. I didn't believe any of them. But now, like, I know I deserve that. I know I deserve that. And I know you deserve that. I know you deserve to be happy. I know I deserve to be happy. I know everyone in the galaxy deserves to be happy because it's human nature and it's our time to shine. So no matter what you're doing, if you're in a tough relationship, you're just coming out of a tough relationship, you're in a job you hate, you're getting stress from your work, you're getting stress from a loved one. Understand, you are brilliant, you are beautiful, you are smart, you are funny, You're a good person and you deserve excellence. You deserve to be happy. I'd love to get your feedback. I don't even know if I have even a website anymore. I don't even think jeremytodd.com is even in existence. So I've been so shitty to myself over the last year. But jump on the Facebook page. You can email me there, message me there. Leave those 5-star reviews. It just allows other people to find the podcast. Hey, after this podcast, I got a book you can buy. But we're on Amazon, Positive Side. Check it out. I obviously pour everything out there too. But at the end of the day, we're in this together. I'm not giving up. The sun will set, the sun will rise. Someone else out there knows you and knows that you may not even know this person yet, but they are out there and they will love you and know who you are and know how to build the relationship with you. It may not be perfect, but they want to figure it out just as bad as you want to figure it out. But you have to put in the work. Positive Side Podcast back and better than ever, my friends. Follow me on YouTube as well. This will be out there as well. I say it in every single episode, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You've got greatness within. Like always, this is the Positive Side.